There's only one possible answer for the crazy longevity and quality of Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise is f***ing insane. Every analysis of these films inevitably comes back to this point. Cruise's determination to defy death and truly do the impossible is why we're drawn to this franchise. The entire resurgence of this series can be traced back to one scene, one stunt that not only transformed Cruise's career into the renaissance he's living now, but is also one of the greatest scenes in film history. Now outside the stunts, outside the persona and the controversies, there's something about Cruise that makes him stand out amongst his peers.
And tame the...
He's a little intense. Cruise has never once in his life phoned it in. Every role he does has his maximum energy, whether he's saving the world or dancing to apple-bottom jeans. He's a star that just moves. His acting is action. This is why the Mission Impossible series was his perfect fit. Each film could be shaped around the expressions, movements, and skills Cruise wanted to master. And where some franchises take time to build their foundation, Mission nailed down its essentials from the very beginning. The first staple is of course Cruise doing dangerous stunts for real. This water tank explosion marks the climax for Act 1, sending Hunt on the run from the IMF, something he'll do a lot more in future entries. While tame compared to modern mission standards, water is nothing to be messed with, and it even gives Cruise a chance to show off his signature run. The next staple is Hunt hanging off of impossibly dangerous obstacles. This train climax is a combination of in-studio elements composited with background plates and CG renders. While the visual effects in this sequence are amazing, especially for '96 standards, this is a far cry from the modern mission standard of doing every single stunt for real. Nevertheless, this scene still works in the way all the best mission set pieces do. What's impressive in this scene isn't Cruise's movements, but instead his lack of movement. It's Hunt remaining steady and holding on against the incredible forces being thrust against him. The climax gets a little cartoonish and silly, but it's the end of the movie, so they've earned a spectacular payoff. Cruise was doing real stunts and hanging off of dangerous contraptions from the start, but what left the biggest impression on the audience was the masterful Langley heist. In this scene, there are no physical threats, no henchmen to fight or helicopters to shoot down. The biggest risk in this scene for Hunt is dropping too far and hitting his nose on the floor. But saying this scene lacks tension couldn't be further from the truth. Instead, the room is rigged with sensors that, if they go off, will immediately ruin the mission and ensure the entire team gets captured. If Hunt raises the temperature above a degree, makes a noise above a whisper, or even grazes the floor, it's game over. The magic of the scene isn't what happens. All they do is download a list onto a floppy disk. The magic is what they don't do. For the man who can do anything, the hardest thing Hunt can do is remain absolutely still. The clean white design of the room contrasts with Hunt's jet black attire, so we could perfectly read all of his actions. This 10-minute sequence forgoes any music, gives no dialogue to Cruise, and focuses purely on his physicality. Nothing is faked here, as the scene is filled with multiple 10-second plus shots of Cruise hanging intensely. Throughout the scene, we plant several obstacles, agonizingly waiting for one of them to give in. Close calls are a staple in heists and action films, but what makes this moment special isn't that Hunt almost hits the floor, but how long he stays there without hitting it. This is a tremendous show of core strength. Physicality like this forces a great performance. It all builds to the panic on Hunt's face, keeping his sweat from not falling off his glasses. This sequence is absolutely phenomenal. It's so good that for 15 years, it basically overshadowed the entire rest of the franchise. 2 introduced the idea of Hunt being a daredevil, and 3 has the largest personal stakes in the series, yet none of them could best this once-in-a-career sequence. You could say that topping this scene would be difficult? Despite surpassing it, there's a lot that Ghost Protocol's Burj Khalifa climb borrows from the Langley heist. It even comes in the exact same spot in the narrative. The visual design is certainly familiar. Hunt is back in his jet black attire, which once again contrasts with the blue sky and squeaky clean polish of the building. Where in Langley Hunt descended 30 feet, here he needs to climb 11 stories up to the 130th floor.
130.
Both sequences begin with silence, letting the audience soak in the IMAX view and the high altitude winds. Cruise and Bird know they have money on the screen, so they let every moment breathe. They hold their shots for 15 seconds at a time, helicopter back for scale. They even use this time to set up their next big action scene.
It's a sandstorm. That's a long way off, Ethan. Shouldn't be a problem.
Now, this scene isn't fun just because Hunt climbs the building. What makes this scene work is how he climbs it. One of the best running gags in Ghost Protocol is that all the gadgets suck. At every turn, they malfunction, have horrible design flaws, or are just laughably impractical. Here, Ethan needs 2 gadgets to complete the mission, and they work as well as the scene needs them to.
Blue is glue.
And when it's red?
Dead.
One by one, each gadget fails, creating major setbacks. The right glove fails halfway through, which makes the climb harder. Once Ethan reaches the server room, his laser cutter explodes with sparks, causing Ethan to drop it and take a major fall. Finally, with one glove left, Ethan kicks through the glass window, which then shatters his last remaining gadget. These malfunctions create tension while also relieving it at the same time, something necessary for a 7-minute sequence. Langley uses the poisoned CIA agent to periodically threaten the entire operation, only to go back to redecorating the washroom. And here, we have the malfunctioning glove returning, taunting Hunt with its failure, and then farting back into the wind. While these gadgets failing is just fun filmmaking, there is also a subtle subtext mirroring the series' focus on real stunts. The implication is that if the gadgets worked as intended, the agents would never have to risk anything. Like a stunt being performed with CG, the missions would be possible. It's only when Ethan runs out of gadgets that he finally soars. If the rest of the sequence was the roller coaster climbing up the chain lift, then this is the 300-foot drop, encapsulating all of Cruise's skills as an athlete. It's holding, falling, and running all at the same time. We get one more break in tension at the scene's apex.
Your line's not long enough! No shit!
And then we jump right into the climax. The iconic theme plays, Hunt runs into position, and then he gracefully glides to safety. Hunt's defining characteristic in the later Mission Impossible films, the one thing he cares about most, is his team. In Fallout, Hunt sacrifices his mission and instigates the plot because he needed to save Luther. This also appears to be a core theme in Dead Reckoning. Now, if Ethan as a character has a ghost, it would be the inciting incident of the first film. When the mission goes wrong, Hunt witnesses his entire team's demise.
My team is dead!
And from that point on, he's on his own. The rest of the film is a paranoia thriller, where no one can be trusted. He makes friends with Luther, everyone else betrays him and dies. While films 2 and 3 do have teams that help out, they remain in the background, both being ditched by Hunt in Act 3 to focus on the love interest. But in Ghost Protocol, the series makes the important shift to prioritizing the team. We're introduced to Ethan's new team from the very beginning, but they don't exactly synergize immediately. They're almost more of a nuisance for Hunt as he's so used to doing things on his own, with their presence during this iconic stunt being incredibly comedic.
22 minutes to door knock.
The countdown is not helping.
But it's during this scene that he realizes just how much he needs them. The Langley heist has 2 major setbacks towards the end. First when Ethan is dropped, then second when Franz drops the knife. Neither of these slip-ups are Hunt's fault. He performed his task flawlessly. The tension comes from Ethan having to carry his lackluster team. Ethan Hunt truly is extraordinary, and it's through his new team that we begin to see just how insane he is.
The flare on the body. Why would that work?
It did work.
The team, and especially Benji, are very much the audience's POV, grounding Hunt's insanity into some sort of reality. But this team doesn't stay the audience's POV, as over the course of the next couple films, they evolve and steadily become Ethan's equal.
Now you called me because you needed my help, and you still do. So I am staying.
And this is the real key to why the Mission Impossible films have thrived. Cruise has steadily assembled one of the greatest ensemble casts over the course of this franchise. In the second half of Ghost Protocol, Hunt finally shares the spotlight and allows his supporting cast to shine. He wins each movie not because he does the impossible, but because he trusts his team to be there when he needs the impossible.
We were unprepared, in the dark, disavowed. And the only thing that functioned properly was this team.
And all of that started right here. This is the moment that perfected Mission Impossible.
That was not easy, but I did it. What'd I miss?
Usually when I film these outros, I have a call to action, like, subscribe, ring the bell dingy. Today I just want to show off something that's really cool. This is a Lego Burj Khalifa with a little tiny Tom Cruise on top. This is adorable. That's all. Goodbye.